cafe was alive with the soft hum of conversation, the clinking of cups, and the rich aroma of freshly brewed espresso. Sunlight poured through the large glass windows, casting warm patterns on the wooden floor. At a quiet corner table sat Alessandro Romano, a man whose presence alone seemed to command the room. He was impeccably dressed, yet his expression was calm, almost introspective. He wasn't here for business today. He was simply enjoying a rare moment of quiet in the bustling heart of Milan. Across the room, Sofia moved gracefully between tables, her steps light but purposeful. Her dark hair was pulled back neatly, and her eyes sparkled with warmth whenever she smiled at a customer. She had been working at this cafe for a few years, learning to balance speed with friendliness, making each visitor feel special even during the busiest hours. Today, she noticed a familiar face in the crowd, a man who seemed different from the usual customers. There was an air of elegance about him, a quiet confidence that made him stand out without any need for flashy clothes or loud gestures. Alessandro observed Sofia without drawing attention. There was something in the way she interacted with people, the gentle tone of her voice, and the genuine smile she offered, that intrigued him. He wasn't used to being fascinated by a waitress, but there was a rare authenticity about her that he found captivating. He watched as she approached a table of elderly ladies, explaining the menu with patience, laughing softly at their jokes, and remembering their preferences from past visits. It was a simple act, yet it revealed a depth of kindness and attentiveness that Alessandro hadn't expected. Just as he was about to take another sip of his espresso, a familiar voice entered the room, calling out his name. Alessandro turned to see his mother stepping in, her elegant attire making her presence unmistakable. She carried herself with grace, but there was a softness in her smile that could light up any room. Seeing her in the cafe brought a mix of comfort and nervousness. He wasn't used to introducing her to strangers, yet he felt a quiet excitement about sharing this moment. Sofia noticed the elderly woman looking at the menu with slight confusion. Without hesitation, she approached, leaning slightly to speak in clear, warm Italian. Her voice was gentle, and the words flowed naturally, explaining each dish with care and humor. Alessandro froze for a moment. The sound of her speaking Italian so fluently, so naturally to his mother, struck him in a way he didn't expect. He had heard many people speak Italian, but there was something about Sofia's voice, genuine, kind, and confident, that immediately drew his attention. His mother responded with a bright smile, her eyes lighting up as she listened. She seemed instantly comfortable, chatting with Sofia as if they had known each other for years. Alessandro watched quietly, feeling a mix of admiration and surprise. The connection between them was effortless, and he realized that Sofia had a natural ability to make people feel at ease. It wasn't just her language skills. It was her presence, her warmth, and the way she genuinely cared about those around her. For a moment, Alessandro allowed himself to forget the busy world outside the cafe. The stock market, meetings, and endless decisions that normally filled his day seemed distant. Here, in this small corner, he was witnessing something simple yet extraordinary. A young woman, a mother, and a moment of genuine human connection. It made him think about the importance of kindness, the way small actions could leave lasting impressions, and how rare it was to encounter someone who made the world feel a little softer. Sofia continued her conversation, pointing to items on the menu and offering suggestions. Her patience never wavered, even as other customers waited nearby. She was fully present, focused on the person in front of her, and it was this authenticity that captured Alessandro's attention completely. He found himself studying her gestures, the way her eyes lit up when she laughed, and the gentle tone she used when speaking. It was a simple interaction, but it revealed her character in ways that words alone could not. Alessandro's mother chuckled at something Sofia said, and Alessandro felt a warmth spread through him. He noticed how easily his mother trusted Sofia, how naturally she responded to her guidance. In that moment, he realized that this young woman possessed something rare, the ability to touch hearts without even trying. Alessandro had met many people in his life, some charming, some intelligent, but few who left an immediate, genuine impact. Sophia was one of those rare individuals. As Sophia moved away to attend to another table, Alessandro's mind was filled with curiosity. Who was she beyond this cafe? What were her dreams, her struggles, her joys? He felt an unusual pull to know more about her, to understand the person behind the warm smile and the caring demeanor. It wasn't just attraction. It was admiration, a deep respect for the way she carried herself and interacted with the world. He finished his espresso slowly, savoring the moment, and watched as Sophia handled each customer with the same grace and patience. Even under pressure, she remained composed, never losing her smile, never compromising her kindness. Alessandro felt a stirring of emotions he hadn't experienced in a long time, a mixture of admiration, curiosity, and a quiet sense of hope. Hope that perhaps, in this busy world, genuine connections like the one he had witnessed still existed. When his mother finally turned to him with a knowing smile, Alessandro felt a gentle nudge, as if the universe itself was encouraging him to pay attention. He realized that meeting Sophia, even in such an ordinary setting as a cafe, was anything but ordinary. It was a moment that would linger in his mind, a beginning of something he couldn't yet define but already cherished. As the sun shifted and the cafe continued its lively rhythm, Alessandro knew he would return. Not just for the coffee, not just for the ambience, but for the chance to experience again the warmth and authenticity he had seen in Sophia. And little did he know, this seemingly simple encounter was about to change the course of his day, his heart, and perhaps even his life. The next day, the cafe was even busier than before. The morning sunlight spilled through the windows, making the polished wood and ceramic cups glow warmly. Sophia moved between the tables with her usual grace, carrying orders, chatting with regulars, and offering genuine smiles to every customer. Her energy seemed endless, and she worked as if the cafe itself depended on her every step. Alessandro arrived slightly later than usual, choosing a table that gave him a clear view of Sophia in action. He wanted to watch, to understand more about this young woman who had so effortlessly captured his attention the day before. It wasn't just her beauty. It was her presence, her warmth, and the way she made others feel valued. He had spent a lifetime meeting people who sought his favor, but Sophia was different. She had no idea who he was, and yet she carried herself with a confidence and kindness that spoke louder than any title or money ever could. Sophia noticed him immediately, not because he was wealthy or well-dressed, but because he had a calm, observant way about him. She approached with her usual smile, greeting him as if he were any other customer. Alessandro was struck by how natural she was, treating him with the same attentiveness she gave everyone else. It made him feel something he rarely allowed himself to feel: ease. His mother wasn't with him today, and Alessandro felt a small pang of disappointment. He had enjoyed seeing the connection between Sophia and his mother yesterday, and part of him wanted to witness it again. But he also realized that today was an opportunity to see Sophia in her own element, to understand who she was when no one else was watching. As Sophia moved to another table, Alessandro found himself studying the little details, the way she balanced plates without missing a beat, how she listened carefully when a customer spoke, and how her laughter seemed genuine, not rehearsed. He noticed how her eyes brightened when someone complimented her on a suggestion or a dish, how she bent slightly to ensure the elderly customers could hear her clearly, and how she handled each moment with a combination of patience and grace. Each gesture added layers to the image he had formed of her yesterday, reinforcing the feeling that she was truly remarkable. A small commotion at a nearby table drew both their attention. A young man had accidentally knocked over his cup, and the coffee spilled across the table. Sophia rushed over, apologizing on his behalf, and immediately offered to clean up the mess. Alessandro watched, amazed at her composure. She didn't complain or sigh, and she didn't seem frustrated. Instead, she moved with purpose and calm, making sure the customer felt respected and cared for despite the accident. Alessandro felt an unexpected admiration swell inside him. Here was someone who handled challenges effortlessly, with kindness and a sense of responsibility. When she returned to his table to take his order, Alessandro decided to engage her in conversation, albeit subtly. He asked her opinion about a new pastry the cafe had introduced. Sophia's eyes lit up as she described it, giving her thoughts freely and with enthusiasm. Her passion for the little things, the joy she took in simple pleasures, struck a chord in Alessandro. It reminded him that life wasn't only about meetings, deadlines, or money. There was a beauty in small moments, in genuine interactions, and in people like Sophia who made the ordinary extraordinary. He learned more about her gradually, listening carefully as she spoke of her hometown, her family, and her dreams. She had a younger sibling she helped support through school, a mother who relied on her, and a quiet ambition to open a small bakery one day. Alessandro admired her dedication. Here was someone who worked tirelessly not for recognition or wealth, but out of love and responsibility. He felt an increasing desire to know her more, not just as a waitress but as a person, as someone whose spirit resonated with kindness and resilience. Sophia, meanwhile, was unaware of Alessandro's growing admiration. She treated him as she did everyone else, polite and warm, yet naturally curious when he asked thoughtful questions. She sensed there was something different about him, a calm strength beneath his polite exterior, but she didn't pry. She was used to observing people, understanding them through small gestures and words rather than assumptions. The cafe's atmosphere was lively, yet Alessandro felt a bubble of focus around Sophia. Every interaction she had, every smile she offered, and every word she spoke seemed to draw him in. He realized that it wasn't just her skill as a waitress or her ability to speak Italian beautifully that intrigued him. It was the essence of her character. She was grounded, empathetic, and effortlessly graceful. In a world filled with people who sought personal gain, Sophia's presence felt like a breath of fresh air. At one point, a child at a nearby table became fussy, refusing to eat his breakfast. Sophia knelt slightly, speaking to him in a gentle, playful tone. The child's tears turned into laughter, and his mother looked relieved and grateful. Alessandro's heart warmed at the sight. He realized that her kindness wasn't selective. It extended to everyone, from the youngest customer to the oldest. It was this consistency, this authenticity, that made her so compelling. Hours passed, and the cafe began to quiet down as the lunch crowd arrived. Alessandro lingered, reluctant to leave, hoping for another glimpse of the woman who had captured his attention. Sophia, still moving with energy and care, approached him to clear his table. She smiled, thanking him for visiting. In that simple gesture, Alessandro felt an unspoken connection, a recognition that perhaps this meeting was more than coincidence. He didn't yet understand what it meant, but he knew it had significance. Before leaving, he asked her casually about a nearby park, mentioning that he enjoyed walking when the weather was nice. Sophia offered some suggestions, pointing out the quiet corners and the best spots to enjoy the view. Her recommendation was thoughtful, practical, and tinged with a personal touch that made it feel intimate without being forward. Alessandro made a mental note to visit those spots, imagining the possibility of seeing her there again, even outside the cafe. As he stepped out into the streets of Milan, Alessandro reflected on the morning. The encounter with Sophia was more than a casual meeting. It was a moment that reminded him of human connection, kindness, and the beauty of observing life fully. He realized that in his busy life, filled with responsibilities and wealth, he had almost forgotten the simple joy of noticing someone's true character, of appreciating the small, meaningful interactions that make life rich. Sophia returned to her tasks, unaware of the depth of impact she had made on Alessandro. She continued to serve with her usual warmth, listening, laughing, and caring for every customer as if they were the only one in the cafe. To her, it was just another busy day, another chance to do her job well. Yet, unknowingly, she had started a chain of events that would intertwine her life with Alessandro's in ways neither could have predicted. The seeds of admiration, curiosity, and perhaps even something more, had been planted, and there was no turning back. By the time the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the floor, Alessandro had left, carrying with him thoughts of Sophia, her laughter, and the effortless way she touched the hearts of those around her. The world outside the cafe seemed sharper, more vibrant, and full of possibility. He didn't yet know what the future held, but he felt certain that their paths were destined to cross again. And when they did, he knew it would be a moment worth remembering. A story of connection that began with language, kindness, and the quiet magic of a cafe in Milan. A few days later, the cafe felt different to Alessandro. He walked in with a quiet anticipation, his eyes immediately scanning the room for Sofia. The way she moved, the way she smiled at customers, it all fascinated him more than he expected. He had spent mornings observing her from a distance, but today he wanted to engage more, to understand her better beyond the polite exchanges and service smiles. Sofia noticed him as soon as he entered. She didn't know why, but there was something familiar about his presence. Perhaps it was the calm aura he carried, or the way his eyes watched without judgment. She approached his table with her usual warmth, greeting him with a smile that felt effortless and genuine. Alessandro, trying to hide the intensity of his curiosity, asked about a dessert the cafe had recently introduced. Sofia leaned in slightly and explained the dish with excitement, describing each ingredient and the flavors it created. Her enthusiasm was contagious. Alessandro listened, not just to her words but to the passion behind them. He realized that she took pride in her work, and that pride was reflected in everything she did. Curiosity got the better of him, and he gently asked about her life outside the cafe. Sofia hesitated for a brief moment, then shared in a soft tone about her family, the responsibilities she carried, and her small dreams for the future. She spoke of wanting to open a bakery one day, a place where people could feel at home, enjoy fresh pastries, and experience the same kindness she extended to everyone. Alessandro was struck by her sincerity. She didn't dream of luxury or fame. She dreamt of bringing joy to others. It was a rare quality, and he found himself admiring her even more. While they spoke, a commotion at a nearby table drew their attention. A young child had dropped his ice cream, crying loudly. Sofia immediately went over, kneeling down to the child's level. She spoke softly, calming him, and offered a replacement without hesitation. The child stopped crying and even smiled, holding the new ice cream carefully. Alessandro watched, impressed not just by her quick response but by her genuine empathy. He had seen many people in his life, but few possessed such an effortless ability to connect with others. After attending to the child, Sofia returned to Alessandro's table. She apologized for the interruption, but Alessandro waved it off, telling her he admired how she handled the situation. Sofia smiled, a little shyly, not used to receiving compliments from customers. He could tell she was humble, not accustomed to praise for simply being kind. That humility made her even more remarkable in his eyes. As the conversation continued, Alessandro found himself opening up more than he usually did. He spoke briefly about his work, about the responsibilities and pressures of managing a large company. Sofia listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions without judgment. Alessandro realized that talking to her felt different. There was no expectation, no pretense, just a genuine exchange of words and understanding. It reminded him of simpler times, when conversations were about connection, not strategy or power. During a lull in the cafe's activity, Sofia mentioned a local market she enjoyed visiting on weekends. She described the fresh produce, the smells, and the people she met there. Alessandro felt a spark of interest. He enjoyed visiting markets as well but rarely took the time to notice the small details. Her words made him see the beauty in these everyday experiences. He realized that Sofia had a way of making ordinary moments feel extraordinary, simply by being present and engaged. As they talked, Alessandro noticed her hands, moving gracefully, even when they were resting on the table. There was a rhythm to her gestures, a subtle elegance that complemented her voice and expression. He found himself drawn to the way she seemed to inhabit her space fully, confident yet unassuming. It was a combination of qualities that left a lasting impression, and he felt a desire to know her more, not just as a waitress but as a person with depth and character. Sofia, for her part, began to sense that there was more to Alessandro than met the eye. There was a calm authority in his demeanor, but also a warmth and curiosity that set him apart from other customers. She found herself enjoying the conversation, intrigued by his insights and the way he spoke without arrogance. It was a rare experience, meeting someone who listened as much as they spoke, and she appreciated it quietly. Later, a sudden rainstorm began outside, causing people to rush into the cafe, dripping wet and seeking warmth. Sophia moved swiftly, managing the influx with skill and grace. Alessandro watched in admiration, noticing how she remained composed despite the sudden chaos. Her ability to maintain calm, to make each person feel attended to, reinforced the respect he had already begun to feel for her. It wasn't just her charm or her beauty. It was her character, the way she treated others with dignity and care. After the rush settled, Alessandro asked Sophia if she would like to take a short walk in the nearby park once her shift ended. He suggested it casually, not wanting to pressure her, but also wanting to spend more time in her presence. Sophia hesitated for a moment, then smiled, accepting the invitation. It was a small step, but it signaled the start of a connection that was becoming more personal and meaningful. As they walked together in the park, Alessandro noticed the way Sophia observed the world around her. She pointed out small details: a bird building a nest, flowers in bloom, children playing. Her attention to these moments reflected a deep appreciation for life's simple joys. Alessandro realized that in his fast-paced world, he had almost forgotten how to notice such things. Her perspective reminded him to slow down and enjoy the present. They spoke about dreams, fears, and the small hopes that shaped their daily lives. Alessandro shared memories of his childhood, of moments that had shaped him, while Sophia spoke of her family and the responsibilities she carried with quiet pride. There was an ease between them, a flow of conversation that didn't feel forced. Alessandro realized that he felt understood, not just in words but in the way Sophia listened and responded with empathy. The afternoon faded into evening, and the park's soft light created a warm, peaceful atmosphere. Alessandro felt a sense of calm he hadn't experienced in years. The world of business, power, and expectation seemed distant, replaced by the simplicity of walking and talking with someone who genuinely cared. Sophia's presence had a grounding effect on him, making him realize the value of authentic human connection. As they returned to the cafe, Alessandro felt a quiet anticipation for the future. He didn't know where this connection would lead, but he was certain it was meaningful. Sophia had opened a window into a world he had almost forgotten, reminding him that life's most valuable moments often came from simple gestures, genuine kindness, and the courage to be oneself. Back inside the cafe, Sophia resumed her duties, interacting with customers and managing the evening crowd. Alessandro observed her with admiration, noting how seamlessly she balanced warmth, efficiency, and attention to detail. He realized that this young woman, with her humble yet remarkable presence, had left an imprint on his heart. And as the day ended, he knew that their paths were no longer just crossing by chance. They were beginning a journey together, built on respect, admiration, and the quiet magic of a shared human connection. Days passed, and Alessandro found himself visiting the cafe more often. Each time he discovered something new about Sophia: her patience, her attentiveness, and the way she remembered small details about her customers amazed him. She had an effortless way of making people feel important, as if their presence mattered more than anything else in the world. One busy morning, a particularly demanding customer entered the cafe. He was loud, complaining about minor issues, and seemed intent on causing trouble. Sophia approached him calmly, listening to his complaints without a hint of irritation. Her voice was firm but polite, and she handled the situation with professionalism and grace. Alessandro watched, impressed by her composure. He realized that her kindness was not weakness. It was strength. She could remain calm and considerate even in the face of rudeness, and that was rare. After the situation was resolved, Alessandro casually mentioned that he admired how she handled the difficult customer. Sophia smiled, a little embarrassed, brushing off the compliment. Alessandro felt drawn to her humility. She didn't seek praise for doing what was right, and that made her even more remarkable in his eyes. During a quiet moment, Alessandro asked about her plans for the future. Sophia spoke softly about her dream of opening a small bakery, a place where people could enjoy freshly baked goods and feel at home. She described the kind of atmosphere she wanted to create, the care she would put into every pastry, and the joy of seeing people happy with her creations. Alessandro listened intently, inspired by her dedication and passion. She had dreams that were simple yet meaningful, focused on bringing happiness to others rather than seeking wealth or fame. Sophia, unaware of Alessandro's growing admiration, continued to work with her usual energy and warmth. She moved between tables, refilling drinks, serving food, and chatting with customers. Each interaction was genuine, never rushed, and full of attention to detail. Alessandro noticed the way she paused to ensure elderly customers were comfortable, the way she remembered names and preferences, and the subtle gestures that showed her care for every person in the cafe. Later, Alessandro offered to help with a small task in the cafe, a gesture meant to spend more time with Sophia. She accepted with a smile, showing him how to arrange pastries for display. As they worked together, Alessandro felt a sense of connection he had rarely experienced. The act of working side by side, sharing small laughs and simple conversations, created a bond that went beyond words. He realized that it wasn't just attraction. It was respect and genuine appreciation for her character. During a short break, they stepped outside for fresh air. Alessandro noticed how Sophia observed the world around her with curiosity and appreciation. She pointed out small details, like flowers blooming along the sidewalk or children playing in the distance. Her ability to notice and value these simple moments reminded him of the beauty in everyday life. He felt inspired to slow down, to pay attention, and to cherish moments that often went unnoticed. As the afternoon continued, Alessandro and Sophia shared stories of their lives. Alessandro spoke about his childhood, the lessons he had learned, and the responsibilities he carried. Sophia shared memories of her family, the challenges she faced, and the small joys that kept her motivated. They discovered similarities in their values, particularly the importance of kindness, honesty, and respect for others. Alessandro felt a deep sense of connection, realizing that despite their different worlds, they shared a common understanding of what truly mattered in life. Later, a sudden commotion drew their attention. A group of rowdy customers entered, creating tension in the cafe. Sophia stepped forward calmly, handling the situation with confidence and composure. Alessandro watched, amazed at her ability to manage conflict without losing her warmth or patience. He realized that Sophia's strength lay not in physical power or authority, but in her ability to influence and calm others through empathy and presence. After the situation was resolved, Alessandro suggested a short walk in a nearby park to unwind. Sophia agreed, and they walked together, enjoying the simple pleasure of conversation and companionship. Alessandro noticed how Sophia's laughter was genuine, how her eyes lit up when she spoke about things she loved, and how her presence had a calming effect on him. He realized that she had a rare ability to make people feel at ease, to inspire trust and warmth with minimal effort. As they strolled through the park, Alessandro began to feel a sense of clarity he hadn't experienced in years. He understood that his feelings for Sophia were more than admiration. They were growing into something deeper. Her kindness, humility, and authenticity had captured his heart in a way he hadn't anticipated. He felt a quiet hope that their connection could develop into something meaningful and lasting. Returning to the cafe, Alessandro observed Sophia interacting with her colleagues and customers. He noticed how respected she was, not just for her skill, but for her integrity and character. It became clear that Sophia's presence had a positive impact on everyone around her, creating a ripple effect of kindness and consideration. Alessandro felt grateful to witness this, and he realized that he wanted to be part of her world, not just as a distant observer, but as someone who could support and appreciate her fully. As the day ended and the cafe quieted down, Alessandro felt a growing anticipation for the future. He didn't know what challenges or opportunities lay ahead, but but he was certain that Sophia had become an important part of his life. Her presence reminded him of the value of human connection, the importance of empathy, and the beauty of simple, meaningful interactions. Sophia continued her work, unaware of the depth of admiration and respect Alessandro felt for her. She treated each customer with the same warmth and care, never realizing how much she had already touched his life. Alessandro left the cafe that evening with a renewed sense of purpose, determined to nurture the connection that had begun between them. He knew that their story was just beginning, and he was eager to see where it would lead, knowing that the bond they were forming was based on respect, kindness, and a genuine appreciation for each other's character. Weeks had passed, and the bond between Alessandro and Sophia had grown stronger with each meeting. Their conversations had become more personal, filled with laughter, shared dreams, and small confessions. Alessandro felt a deep admiration for Sophia, not just for her kindness and charm, but for her intelligence, her humility, and the warmth she carried in every action. One bright morning, Alessandro decided to surprise Sophia at the cafe. He arrived early, wanting to see her in her natural element, working with focus and care. Sophia noticed him immediately, her eyes lighting up with recognition and warmth. Alessandro greeted her with a simple smile, feeling a surge of happiness at her reaction. It was a reminder that genuine connection created moments that no wealth or title could ever buy. As the morning rush began, Alessandro observed Sophia effortlessly balancing tasks, interacting with customers, and maintaining her cheerful demeanor. Her ability to remain calm and attentive under pressure amazed him. He realized that her strength was not just in her physical presence or skill, but in her character and the way she treated everyone with respect and care. Watching her work, he felt a mix of admiration and affection that grew stronger by the day. During a quiet moment, Alessandro approached Sophia and suggested taking a short break together. She agreed, curious about what he had in mind. They stepped outside, enjoying the fresh air and the gentle warmth of the morning sun. Alessandro decided it was time to share something important. He spoke honestly about how he felt, explaining that her kindness, intelligence, and presence had captured his heart. Sophia listened, her eyes widening slightly in surprise, but she saw the sincerity in his expression. Sophia admitted that she had felt a connection too, noticing how Alessandro observed the world around him with a thoughtfulness that few people possessed. She spoke about the comfort she felt in his presence, the ease of conversation, and the way he treated her with respect and genuine interest. Their words created a bridge between them, turning admiration into something deeper, something that promised companionship and understanding. As they continued their walk, Alessandro suggested visiting a quiet spot in the park where they could enjoy a peaceful moment together. Sophia agreed, and they found a bench beneath a large tree, the leaves rustling softly in the breeze. They sat side by side, talking about dreams, fears, and the small joys that shaped their lives. Alessandro shared his vision for the future, his hopes, and the moments that had defined him. Sophia responded with honesty, describing her ambitions, her love for simple pleasures, and her dedication to her family. The conversation flowed naturally, filled with laughter, thoughtful pauses, and quiet understanding. Alessandro realized that Sophia's presence brought a sense of clarity and calm to his life that he had long forgotten. She reminded him that the simplest moments could hold the most meaning, that genuine human connection was priceless, and that love and respect were the foundation of any lasting relationship. As they walked back to the cafe, Alessandro felt a surge of courage. He had decided to take the next step, to let Sophia know that he wanted to support her dreams and be part of her world. He spoke softly, explaining that his admiration had grown into love, and that he wanted to be there for her in every way he could. Sophia's eyes glistened with emotion. She had never expected such honesty and depth from someone in his world, and she felt a warmth and trust that encouraged her to open her heart. Back at the cafe, they continued their day as usual, but the atmosphere between them had changed subtly. There was a quiet understanding, a shared sense of purpose, and a gentle affection that radiated through their interactions. Alessandro observed Sophia's natural grace and kindness, feeling more certain than ever that she was someone worth cherishing. Sophia, in turn, noticed Alessandro's patience, thoughtfulness, and the quiet strength that underpinned his presence. As the day drew to a close, Alessandro invited Sophia to a small dinner at a nearby restaurant. She agreed, intrigued by the idea of spending time with him outside the cafe. The evening was filled with laughter, shared stories, and a deepening sense of connection. Alessandro realized that being with Sophia was more than companionship. It was a partnership built on respect, understanding, and genuine affection. Throughout the weeks that followed, their relationship blossomed naturally. Alessandro continued to admire Sophia's character, her dedication, and her warmth, while Sophia appreciated Alessandro's sincerity, attentiveness, and the way he encouraged her dreams. They spent time exploring the city, enjoying quiet walks, and sharing moments that strengthened their bond. Each encounter reinforced the understanding that their connection was rare and meaningful, built on authenticity and mutual respect. One afternoon, Alessandro decided to reveal a surprise. He had arranged for a small corner of the cafe to be decorated with flowers, soft lighting, and a few personal touches. Sophia entered, unaware of the setup, and her eyes widened in delight. Alessandro took her hand, explaining that he wanted to celebrate the journey they had begun together and to acknowledge the connection that had grown between them. Sophia felt a surge of emotion, realizing that this gesture reflected not only his feelings but his deep respect for her and her dreams. They spent the evening sharing stories, laughter, and quiet moments of reflection. Alessandro spoke about the importance of kindness, humility, and genuine connection, values that he saw reflected in Sophia every day. Sophia shared her hopes for the future, her aspirations to open her bakery, and her desire to continue spreading warmth and joy in the world. Their conversation reinforced the understanding that their relationship was built on mutual admiration and shared values, rather than superficial attraction. As the night ended, Alessandro walked Sophia home, feeling a sense of contentment he had rarely experienced. He realized that their journey was just beginning, but he was confident that it would be filled with trust, respect, and love. Sophia felt the same, appreciating the sincerity and care that Alessandro brought into her life. In the following days, Alessandro continued to visit the cafe, not just as a customer, but as someone who genuinely cared about Sophia and her world. He supported her dreams, offered encouragement, and shared moments of joy and reflection. Sophia continued her work with dedication and warmth, feeling the security and happiness that came from having someone who truly valued her. Their relationship grew stronger with each passing day, rooted in genuine connection, mutual respect, and a shared understanding of what truly mattered in life. Alessandro realized that wealth and power were insignificant compared to the depth of human connection and the simple joy of being with someone who truly understood and cared for him. Sophia discovered that love could be gentle, supportive, and uplifting, encouraging her to pursue her dreams while sharing meaningful moments with someone who respected her fully. The story of Alessandro and Sophia became one of quiet love, built on kindness, honesty, and the everyday moments that define a meaningful life. Their connection, born from a chance encounter in a busy cafe, grew into a relationship filled with understanding, admiration, and genuine affection. Together, they discovered that the most profound relationships are those that celebrate authenticity, nurture dreams, and honor the heart's true desires. As they walked through the streets of Milan hand in hand, Alessandro felt a deep sense of gratitude for the moment their paths had crossed. Sophia looked at him with a smile that reflected trust, joy, and a quiet love that had grown from the simple, genuine interactions they had shared. In that moment, both understood that their journey was far from over, but they were ready to face it together, guided by respect, admiration, and the profound connection that had blossomed from a shared smile, a kind word, and the beginning of a story that neither would ever forget.